The eviction and foreclosure bans have expired. What does it mean for the housing market? I'll explain it next. You're definitely going to want to watch this one. If you've been watching the news or you've been following the housing market, the big piece of information that dropped on the 31st of July is that the eviction ban and the foreclosure ban from a federal level expired. And now everyone's wondering, will there be more homes on the market? What does this mean? Is there going to be a wave of foreclosures? So let me explain to you what's actually going on. And let's break it down segment by segment. So first we'll talk about the eviction ban. And what I know about the eviction ban is this, that when you evict somebody, it is not an easy process. And the court systems right now are jam-packed with backlog court cases from as many as 18 to 24 months ago because everything got shut down in 2020 and they couldn't reopen, and states were slow to reopen, especially Pennsylvania, especially the state that we reside in here. So knowing that's the case, I don't anticipate people being out on the streets this week just because the ban was lifted on the 31st. It's going to take time to process these evictions. It's going to take manpower. It's going to take energy. And then they got to work their way through the court system, which is not very fast to begin with. So that's the first thing to know here. The second thing you want to consider with the eviction ban expiring is this, that a lot of states, and this is where you got to do your research, had loopholes where everything but the physical removal of the tenant from the property was able to happen up until this point. Paperwork was filed, the courts were moving. That was not the case here in Pennsylvania because the courts are really backlogged because of the shutdowns that we saw in 2020. So in some states, this may have an impact. What we're talking about locally here is that even if the eviction was filed August 1st, it's still a 30, 60, 90-day process in some cases to be able to get these tenants out. So it's not going to have an immediate impact on the market. What I also know is this. There are investors that are liquidating properties right now. They're worried about the lack of 1031 exchanges. They're worried about the capital gains tax rate increasing. So what I'm clear on is this will have a big impact over time for the investors that want to get out. For the investors that can get their properties vacant, because showing a home with a tenant in it, showing a home where someone's not paying their rent, it's really difficult to do and it impedes the sale. So once some of these investors start to get their properties vacant, they're going to start to liquidate these properties. And the segment of the market where this will be impacted the most, you'll see the biggest bump in inventory, and I still don't know how much it's going to be, is going to be that first-time or trade-up home buyer segment. We don't see a lot of premium properties getting rented. We don't see the 20-year home getting rented in a lot of cases. So first-time buyers or trade-up buyers, those lower price point segments, that's where you're likely going to see a little bit of a bump in inventory because investors are liquidating right now. So that's the thing to watch out for here. To me, this is probably the bigger impact of the two because people are worried about what's going to happen down the line. The long-term hold may not be as effective anymore. And especially with properties in Philadelphia and Delaware County where the taxes have been reassessed, some rental properties don't cash flow anymore. So there may be investors looking to get out there because they now have a non-performing asset. So a lot of food for thought with the eviction ban. The foreclosure ban is a little different. So the foreclosure ban, just to give you some perspective here and some stats and real facts, because one of the big talking points out there right now is there's going to be this wave of foreclosures. So 3/4 of the people that went into forbearance during the COVID-19 pandemic are now making their payments on time, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. And what we've also seen is that homeowners with mortgages, which is about 65% of the population, it's about 2/3 roughly, their equity has gone up in their homes tremendously over the first half of the year. So they now have more equity in their home. A lot of them are north of 10% equity in their properties. We've shared these stats before. So even if they're about to get foreclosed on, they can afford to complete a real estate transaction, pay transfer tax, pay commissions, pay the fees so they can get out of the foreclosure issue that they might be seeing right now that this ban is lifted. So there's a lot of positive news here for people that are in this position because they can actually cash out, get whatever money's left in their home, and move on. What we also know is that the forbearance rate dropped to 4.3% in June of 2021. So we're not seeing a lot of people being at risk of foreclosures right now. And even if you go into foreclosure, what we also know is this is a long process. If you get a really good attorney or you get the right people advising you, you can complete a short sale. You can work with a short sale negotiator. There's a lot of options here. So while both of these may give us a little bit of a bump in inventory, given the current housing climate, given the inventory levels that we're seeing, and this is coming from NAR Chief Economist Lawrence Yun, it's not going to have a major impact on inventory. We're seeing the market is not as incredible as it was 4, 5, 6 months ago, not as amazing as it was with multiple offers and record appreciation. So that's good news for a lot of the buyers that are out there, because you're going to see maybe a little bit of bump in inventory, but more importantly, you're not seeing those 10, 15 offers. Maybe it's only 2 or 3. Maybe you're able to get home inspections and contingencies accepted right now. So I'd be looking at first-time and move-up buyers for the eviction ban, and the foreclosure ban's probably not going to have a major impact because of the equity position that a lot of these homeowners are in. Now, if you have questions about this, you want to know more, you're in a situation where you need some help, you know where to reach us. Otherwise, we'll keep the information coming, and we'll see you next week. You're definitely going to want to watch this one.